Welcome, my favorite federal employee. We're glad that you found our channel. My name is Andrew McNair, son of a CSRS employee, founder of SWAN Capital, a total wealth management company where we have a CPA, estate planning attorney, and financial planners all under one roof serving retiring federal employees just like yourself. Today, we're tackling a big question. How do you double your TSP? And let's jump right into the question.
All right, Andrew, you say doubling. Who doesn't want to double? The daily double, right? Doubling your TSP, and you say it doesn't require fancy financial formulas. So what's the first key factor?
The first key factor is absolutely asset allocation. Your investment mix in the TSP is one of the biggest levers that you have over the control of doubling your TSP. And you only have a few levers to pick from. That's why I love TSP so much, is that its utility is tied to its simplicity. You have C, you have S, you have I, you have G, and F. And obviously the C, S, and I are going to be the equities, while G and F are going to be more of the protected side and guaranteed fund side. So we have to balance those allocations accordingly, not based on age. Everyone's telling you that the older you get, the less risk you should take. And I'm telling you that's a half truth. You're going to actually need to have more into that equity side based on not age, but by your horizon towards retirement. As you get closer and closer, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year out from retirement, we have to start increasing that G fund. So choosing the right fund is absolutely critical. People ask me all the time, should I have 100% of my money in the C fund? Should I have 100% of my money in the S fund? It's critical, even if you're 10 years out, not to have 100% of your money in the C fund. I believe, and I've seen and witnessed the failures of people not having enough diversification. I believe if you're 10 years or even 5 years out from retirement, you might want to have 50% in C, 35% in S, and 15% in I. And here's one way to determine why that's the case. If you use the rule of 72, that means if you take the number 72 and divide it by the interest rate, the 10-year average that the S&P 500 or the C fund has achieved, and you divide that by the number, it'll tell you how long it'll take for your money to double. So let's give it an easy one. If the S fund earns 10% annually, let's say for the next 10 years, and you divide 72 by 10, your money should double in just 7 years. Now you compare that to the G fund, for example, which is historically made around 2%, today making around 3%. That would take your TSP 36 years to double. And so the real kicker, though, is inflation. If it averages, inflation averaging 4% for this decade is probably to be expected with COVID inflation. The cost of living doubling every 18 years actually puts a drain on your retirement. That means if you have a 40-year retirement, you could see prices double every 18 years or twice in your retirement. So that's why your asset allocation isn't just about growth, it's about staying ahead of inflation, especially for retirement.
Shoot. Andrew, I thought you were talking about Medicare. I mean, these two things, TSP and Medicare, you got to know your alphabet.
It is. There's a lot of verbiage. Yeah. And so
what about the right what about the right allocation, though? I mean, because it's not only one thing of, doubling or whatever, but you want to have the right allocation for your situation. How do you help people with that?
Yeah, well, the C fund has seen major growth, especially over the last 10 years, but also it's lost 38% in 2008. In 2008, the S&P 500 lost over 50%, but if you had nerves of steel, you only lost 37%. So the G fund never really drops, but earns just a little bit. And so you have to weigh the two to understand that, yes, you have the ability to double your money in 7 or less years, depending on how the market's performance is, but you also have to realize the risk that you're taking. And so that's why I believed a balanced approach is so key. We need to make sure that your money is growing, but at a rate that you can tolerate and a rate that you won't actually hurt your stomach if you have a 30 or 40% pullback in the market.
All right, so you gave us a major factor. What's a second major factor in doubling your TSP?
Contributions. How much you put into TSP has a direct impact on how fast your TSP is going to grow. And again, we can only control so many things as a federal employee. We can't control even the security of our job. We can't control the manic depressive market that impacts our returns, but we can control our allocations and we can control our contributions. So how much you put into your TSP on a bi-weekly basis is a direct impact if your TSP is going to double over the next 5, 7, or 10 years. And so what I've found is that many people stop at just getting the agency match, but that's not enough. There are 3 savings benchmarks that you want to hit. Number 1 is the 10% bare minimum. I believe, and I know this is controversial, that every person can save 10% of their income. Even if they're a single parent, they should be able to save 10% of their income. Number 2 is the 15% ideal. I have seen most retirees retire successfully if they just save 15% into their retirement accounts like their TSP. And then 20% is the gold standard. If you're saving 20% of your gross income adjusted for locality pay in your TSP and you're getting a 5% match, you're going to be able to retire not only earlier, but you're going to be able to retire better than anyone you know. And remember, you have that ability. Don't forget the catch-up contributions that increase at age 50 and then increase again from ages 60 to 63, what we call a super catch-up. So all of this is to allow you to be able to put more in and take advantage of those contributions while you're working.
All right, so I can see some people watching along or listening along with us today, Andrew, and they're saying, I don't have room in my budget to contribute more. What do you say?
Yeah, I believe, you're going to have your step raises. You may get some promotions along the way, or you may just get your cost of living adjustments. And what do most people do? When they get a pay raise, they get a promotion, they get a step increase, most people say, I've worked really hard for this increase and I deserve it. I deserve 100% of this increase. I'm going to go buy me a boat. I'm going to buy me a new truck. I'm going to buy me a new sedan. I'm going to buy something that I deserve for my hard work. And here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to cheat the future you. And so what I encourage families to do is say half for me, half for future me. Every time you get let's say a 3% cost of living adjustment, I would do just that. I would say 1.5% for me, 1.5% for future me, and I would split the difference, add half to my lifestyle and half to my TSP contribution. And typically we're going to add that to the Roth TSP. So what I found is it's all about making those small, consistent adjustments over time. But the sad truth is, some federal employees don't even get the full agency match because they're leaving free money on the table, which is costing them from doubling their TSP.
Now, you said growing over time. I want to delve into time. Why is time such a powerful force in growing your TSP?
Yeah, time is the unsung hero of investing. Compound interest is a modern marvel of, Einstein said, it is the seventh wonder of the world that we have available to us that oftentimes we miss out on. Tony Robbins gives a great quote. He said, people overestimate what they can do in a year. People say, I'm going to lose a lot of weight. I'm going to start running a marathon. Probably not in the first year are you going to be able to do that. But people underestimate what they can do in a decade. You can one day become an ultra marathon runner. You could lose 50 pounds, but it starts one day at a time, making incremental increases. And the same for your contributions and your asset allocations. We have to make these slight adjustments over time. And if we do that, these small little screws, they actually swing big doors. So you don't need to check your TSP balance every day. Think of it like planting a tree. You water it, you give it sunlight, and you let time do its magic. And so the same goes with your TSP. You can increase your contributions, you can have the right asset allocations, but you're going to have to let time do its work.
Yeah, time. All right, is there a common or a big mistake people make when they feel stuck and behind in their retirement savings?
Yeah, I think some think I have to take huge risks to catch up. And that sounds a lot like a gambler at a blackjack table. You don't want to have to say, oh, I am so behind the 8 ball, I got to put everything in the C fund, everything in the S fund, which those funds do have more volatility in them. Just like a gambler that's down to his last chips, it rarely ends well by putting all of your money going from one extreme to another. A smarter move is to max out your TSP contributions and let the compounding work its magic over a 5 to 10 year period, and do that mix that I talked to you about earlier, which was 50% in C, 35% in S, and 15% in I. A decade of that allocation is a powerful time frame and asset allocation where those small disciplined moves can really have massive payoffs later.
All right, so if I gave you the formula 2 plus X equals 4, what's 2? Or what's X, excuse me?
Right.
It's 2. And so is there a simple formula to doubling a TSP?
Yeah, I think the first ingredient is picking the right asset allocation. Your funds need to work harder than you do. They need to work harder than inflation while you're sleeping. Those asset allocations need to be working on your behalf. The G fund and the F fund are not going to cut it. Increasing your contributions, and start by just a 1% increase today. Set your Apple iPhone reminder to remind you 6 months from now to increase it another 0.5 or 1%. The more you put in, the faster your money is going to compound, the faster you're going to get to doubling your TSP. And then lastly is give it time. Be reasonable, let compounding and consistency work in your favor.
Yes, yes, yes. Any final thoughts for our favorite federal employees?
Yeah, to double your TSP, my final thoughts is you can't control elections. You can't control interest rates, and you certainly can't control the economy, but you can control your personal economy. You can control your contributions and what you can cut back at home to be able to make room and margin to make those contributions. You can control your allocations, and you can control your time horizon by understanding that you're going to have to leave it alone and not change it, but stick with the plan. So I hope this was super helpful. If you have federal retirement questions that we haven't answered, email us at the email address in the description below, and your question could become one of our next videos. Check out all of our federal benefit videos on this channel. We have plenty of free resources out there. If you'd like to go over your TSP allocations one-on-one with me or one of my other financial planners, click the link below for a comprehensive federal retirement report. And I would also encourage you to bring your LES, your pay stub, bring your SSA statement and your TSP statement so we can get you that personalized federal benefit report. I hope you have a blessed day, and we'll see you next time.